Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. We begin today in praise of that most ubiquitous yet essential feature of hiking and mountain biking trails, the water bar. This best management practice is designed to imitate the natural flow of the forest and reduce erosion. In this video produced by Lake Champlain Basin Program, we learn how loggers and foresters install structures like water bars and bridges before and after a timber harvest to lessen the impact that forestry has on the land and water.
I've been logging full-time since 1987. Before that, I worked with my dad for a while, for probably since I was like 9. Some guys get in it and they're in it for 3 years and they're done. They're on to doing something else, but I mean, I'm in this for a lifetime.
Roughly 73% of the Lake Champlain Basin's land area is forested. Much of this land is far from Lake Champlain and the human impact is relatively minor. But forests in Vermont contribute 15% of the phosphorus delivered to Lake Champlain. Broader use of management practices on private and state forest lands are helping to achieve the goals of the Lake Champlain Phosphorus TMDL.
This area is within the Nebraska Valley Miller Brook watershed. It's a multi-use forest. It has lots of recreation, state parks, ski areas, hiking trails, but it's also a working forest where we harvest timber, we harvest firewood, we harvest all of the range of forest products that we get from our northern forests. We create trails, we create roads, we have stream crossings, and we need to do a good job of protecting the water quality in those areas. When we don't stabilize our trails and remove our crossings, that sediment can travel into headwater streams and eventually make its way to Lake Champlain. And that soil carries the phosphorus, which is the issue, and we want to prevent that.
Water bars are put in to control the erosion, like when it rains, like right now. And if you put them in correctly, there's less erosion.
This is what we call closeout. It's the part of the sale after the harvesting is done. So this flag tells the excavator operator that we need a water bar right here, which will divert the water that's coming down the trail, off the trail, into undisturbed soil, so it will soak in and it won't have enough speed or velocity to have any erosion.
Regulations that the state has on water quality has changed the law. They make sense. Regulations make sense. They rewrote the handbook for the water quality, the AMP handbook.
The AMPs were Vermont's answer to the federal government for how the state was going to maintain water quality on logging jobs.
We set up 5 skidder bridges on this job. 3 were in and maintained at all times, and the other 2 bridges were temporary bridges. We moved from brook crossing to brook crossing, and these are very, very small brooks. But if you don't impact the brooks, it keeps the water clean all the time. Use those portable skidder bridges from the state, and they work excellent. Cordage wise, there's at least 2,500 cord that come across this big bridge right here, 2,500 cords. I'd say 1,500 trips across that bridge with 43,000 pound machine, so bridges do work, and as you can see, there's hardly any impact on the brook. Obviously, you want to try to keep the water as clean as you can. Makes it harder. You just got to work Saturdays and sometimes even a Sunday and just fill in wherever you can and keep your guys going at the same time. I mean, just takes more time, that's all. But it's worth it in the end, you know.
A special thanks to Vince Franke of Peregrine Productions for his contributions to the Clean Water Work series. Before machines worked the woods, animals were the primary power source for loggers. One breed that helped shape New England forests and farms was the American milking Devon. Here's a story from our archive about the history of Devons in Vermont and why devotees continue to fly the flag for these versatile animals.
If you look on the Vermont state flag, there's a cow on the flag. It is a Devon that's on the flag, and it's been on there forever and ever, and I don't think anybody knows it.
Devon cattle are stitched into the Vermont state flag and woven into the fabric of American history. Devons were first brought to North America by the Pilgrims in 1623. The hardiness and versatility of the breed made them a favorite of colonists like George Washington, who used Devons to plow fields and to provide milk and meat. And when it came time to cross the 2,200 miles of the Oregon Trail, it was Devon oxen leading the way.
Come on, come on, come on.
For Jeremy Michaud, agriculture in the Northeast wouldn't be agriculture without Devons.
All of the open land in New England was harvested using draft power, and these guys were hitched to that yoke. That's how colonial folks did it, was with these guys. And then they took them home, they unhitched them, they milked them, and fed their families. You know, there's a lot of power in that statement, and there's a lot of power in the breed as a result of that.
In spite of their legacy, Devons fell out of favor once the engine of the farm went from animal power to gasoline and diesel. By the mid-20th century, farms had become specialized, producing either milk or meat, but not both, making Devon cattle nearly obsolete.
How long have Devons been in the Clark family?
Since 1627, every generation.
Ray Clark is the director of the American Milking Devon Cattle Association.
I don't care what color they are, I like cows. All my whole life. I grew up on a farm and I like cows. But my preference are Devons because of their temperament, their longevity, their parenting ability. They're great animals. Old timers always said about Devons, they'll get fat on a flat rock and you can't kill them with an axe.
Is it true?
It's true. They're just tough as nails.
The Devons' hardiness, resiliency, and versatility have caused a resurgence in the breed with a new generation of farmers.
This is an ideal animal for the local food movement, the homesteader who's looking to support or feed their own family at home. They want to have an animal on the farm that can provide them meat, milk, graze a certain amount of ground that they have no use for, and can basically consider themselves a farmer without the true expense of being a farmer. Of owning heavy equipment and managing people and cattle and shipping milk and all that stuff. You could support a small family with one of these cows.
Devons are classified as a heritage breed because of their legacy. The Green Mountains and valleys have always been a home for these animals. According to the American Milking Devon Association, there are about 2,000 Devons in the United States, most of which are in New England.
Hey, Bella. You might call this the fat farm rather than the Flack farm.
Doug Flack operates the Flack family farm in Fairfield. He specializes in pasture-raised beef, raw milk, and fermented vegetables. Flack sells his own brand of sauerkraut and kimchi. He uses Devons as the prime fertility source on his farm.
Growing sauerkraut, growing the vegetables, which is cabbage, carrots, onions, garlic, requires really high soil function. If you have poor soil, you'll get poor yields, and the fermentations won't be healthy either. So you need really healthy plants, and healthy plants come from healthy soil, and cattle are the integral part of driving soil fertility, because that's really another core thing. So we have these fermented vegetables full of friendly bacteria that people should be consuming every day to keep their guts healthy. But if they're not eating a lot of grass-produced fat, they're never going to have all the nutrition they need.
Farmers have long touted the health benefits of a Devon's milk and meat. In 2011, the University of Utah did a study on fat levels in Devon milk. The milk was found to contain high concentrations of beneficial fatty acids like omega-3. Increasing omega-3 fatty acids in a person's diet has been shown to protect against heart disease and possibly strokes. For Flack, the vigor of the breed makes them the perfect animal for different and changing climates.
What is really critical on a farm like this is they're super hardy. They're very comfortable at really low temperatures in the winter, and they're okay in really hot climates. You find them all the way in the Mississippi Delta. I'm actually dead serious about the hardiness, their adaptability to climate, soil differences, all kinds of forage, because we're in the throes of climate change. And these cattle have a much higher ability to endure future really radical issues of climate change. In the context of the future, I think they're key. And either as pure animals or crossing them into other breeds to pass on that hardiness, that ability to breed back fat. So they have many qualities that the future will beg for.
As for the here and now, there's another unique aspect to be aware of with Devons: those horns.
Horns are definitely something that creates thoughtfulness. Yeah, thoughtfulness around Devon cows. But you have to be thoughtful around any cow because they're, these cows are 1,200 pounds or whatever. They could step on you, but the horns create a special thoughtfulness.
Mother Nature put horns on them for a reason, all right? People think that they're going to stick the horns in you. They don't. If they're going to hit you, they hit you with the side of their horn. Because the old-timers always said the reason they don't use the point of their horns, they think they're going to get hung up in something and they can't get out and they're going to die. They claim animals can't think, but they do. They're extremely smart. Smarter than any other breed I've ever had.
Resourceful, robust, and smart, Devon cattle have marked the history of agriculture in North America. Here's hoping their flag flies for years to come. In Fairfield, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
And that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.